The second I pulled into my driveway during a raging blizzard, I knew something was wrong. Snow piled a foot high, wind howling, and after working that 12-car pileup on Highway 9, I just wanted heat and light. But my backup generator was gone, where it should be humming next to the fence. There was only empty space and drag marks leading to the street. My security system was dark, house freezing, and my brand-new neighbor had just stolen the one thing protecting me from convicted felons who'd love to find me defenseless. 20 minutes later, there she was standing in her doorway, arms crossed, watching me with that smug Karen grin. Keep your ugly, noisy trash out of our upscale neighborhood, you welfare deadbeat. The metallic taste of rage flooded my mouth. She thought I was just another blue-collar, nobody she could push around. She had no idea she declared war on someone who could destroy her life with one phone call. Comment below. Where are you watching from? Let me back up and tell you how I ended up in this mess. My name's Earl Bachman. I'm 52 years old, and 8 months ago the good people of Millfield County elected me sheriff. Not bad for a guy who started as a beat cop 28 years ago, right? But here's the thing. Nobody in my new neighborhood knew that. See, I'd just gone through a brutal divorce that left me feeling like I'd been run over by a freight train. My ex-wife got the big house. I got the lawyer's bills. And my teenage daughter, Emma, got stuck shuttling between us every other weekend. I needed a fresh start. Somewhere nobody knew my business or my baggage. So when I found this modest 3-bedroom ranch in Pinewood Estates, I jumped on it. The house was perfect. Quiet street, good bones, and most importantly, it came with a detached garage where I could work on my old pickup truck. That truck, by the way, is a 1998 Ford F-150 with more rust than paint. I could afford something newer, but I liked flying under the radar. You know how some people smell trouble coming? Well, I smelled diesel fuel mixed with winter air every time I fired up that generator, and it reminded me of my days at the police academy. Good memories, safe memories, because that generator wasn't just about keeping the lights on. It powered my home security system. See, when you spent 3 decades putting bad guys behind bars, some of those bad guys remember your face. I'd received my share of death threats over the years, especially after my last case involving a major drug trafficking ring. The generator kept my cameras rolling and my motion sensors active, even when the power grid failed. The first time I met Felicia Worthington was 3 weeks after I moved in. I'm unloading groceries from my beat-up truck when she comes clicking across the street in these ridiculous high heels, wearing enough makeup to stock a cosmetics counter. She's got this smile that doesn't reach her eyes, and she's looking at my truck like it's leaking toxic waste on her precious asphalt. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she says, but her tone suggests I'm anything but. "I'm Felicia, HOA president. We'll need to discuss some community standards." I can smell her perfume from 6 feet away. Something expensive that's trying way too hard. "Nice to meet you," I said, keeping it simple. "Earl Bachman." She gives my truck another look, then glances at my work clothes. I could see the wheels turning. Probably unemployed, maybe on disability. Definitely not Pinewood Estates material. "Well, Earl," she says like she's tasting something sour, "I do hope you'll take the time to review our HOA guidelines. We pride ourselves on maintaining property values." Felicia drove a BMW with a license plate that read Bless One, apparently blessed with the personality of a parking ticket. The first real trouble started that night during the blizzard, after I discovered my missing generator and had that heated exchange with Felicia in her doorway. I thought maybe we could work things out like civilized adults. I was dead wrong. The next morning, right on schedule, here comes Felicia marching up my driveway like she owns the place. But this time, she's got backup. This official-looking folder clutched against her chest, and 2 other HOA board members trailing behind her like nervous backup singers. "Good morning, Earl." She chirps like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, completely ignoring the fact that she called me a welfare deadbeat 12 hours earlier. "I trust you've had time to consider your situation." That's when I realized what I was really dealing with. This wasn't just some uptight neighbor with control issues. This was a systematic campaign designed to force out anyone she deemed unworthy of her precious community. What Felicia didn't know was that her husband's law firm specialized in defending the exact same drug dealers I'd spent my career arresting. What she definitely didn't know was that the welfare deadbeat she was trying to intimidate had a badge, a gun, and the legal authority to make her life very complicated. The metallic taste of anger filled my mouth as I realized this woman had just declared war on the wrong guy, and she was about to find out exactly who she was dealing with. The violation notice was printed on official HOA letterhead, complete with legal-sounding language that made my head spin. But here's what really got me fired up. It wasn't just about my wind barriers. Natasha had weaponized the HOA board to create something called emergency aesthetic standards. I called the HOA office that Monday morning, and Natasha's assistant, this nervous young woman who always sounded like she was afraid of getting in trouble, explained that the board had held an emergency session over the weekend. They'd voted to prohibit any weather modifications that were visible from public areas during what they call community showcase periods. What exactly is a community showcase period? I asked. Well, it's whenever potential buyers might be touring the neighborhood. So let me get this straight. They created a rule that prioritized selling houses over protecting the ones people already lived in. The whole thing rired Natasha's real estate background. But here's where my quality control training kicked in. When you spend your days looking for defects in manufacturing processes, you develop an eye for things that don't meet standards. And as I walked around our community that week, I started noticing things. The first thing I spotted was our community pool area. It's this gorgeous centerpiece that Natasha loves to brag about. Sparkling blue water, decorative stonework, the whole 9 yards. But when I looked closer, I noticed something that made my inspector instincts go crazy. There were no required safety equipment stations visible anywhere around the pool perimeter. See, Texas Health Code requires specific safety equipment at public pools. Things like reaching poles, ring buoys, and first aid stations. These aren't suggestions. They're mandatory for any pool serving more than 20 families. I did some quick math. Our HOA has 67 homes. That pool needed safety equipment, and it needed proper inspection certification.